Hey there, Horne-Ellstrom here. Welcome to day 172 of our Get Your Goals annual challenge. Today we're talking about the Financial Goals Lifeline exercise. We've talked about this. I've talked about this for years. I've used this tool for decades now because it's such a valuable tool in self-reflection, going back and learning about ourselves, how things interact with one another in different areas and aspects of our life. And originally I started out just doing a lifeline, like a timeline in school, where I would put the important events of my life on it and then just think about them, think about my thoughts and beliefs, my feelings, my lessons learned, and reflect on them as I'm moving forward in my life. Well, a few years back, probably before the pandemic, I started to use it as a tool to understand the interconnectedness, and we're going to talk about that tomorrow, the connections between all the different areas and aspects of our life, because a lot of times we think we're just one being and there's only, all of it merges together and that's just how and who we are. But that's not really true. We can choose how we want to show up in the world. We can choose our identity. We can choose the things that we're going to use to add value to the world. We can choose the characteristics and the values and things that we have inside of ourselves already that we want to embellish and build upon, and then we can diminish the ones, some like human, more basic instincts and feelings and things that we have that we don't want to experience very much. So the Lifeline exercise is just like a timeline in history class. Remember, in history or maybe in different classes, we would have a timeline. It would be in our school books, and you'd look at it and it would start at a certain date, and it's highlight the main events with respect to like a battle or a war or a conflict or a historical period in time, etc. And it basically just was a timeline where I just say the year I'm born and then I keep going because I'm not planning on leaving anytime soon. And I put the high points, big events in my life: when I got married, when I got divorced, when I had my kids, when I went to college, when I got my first job and second job and third job, etc. I put those things on my life, those milestones on my timeline. And then what I do now, and this is this is from 2020, I put on how each of these affect, and I've got a great big one now. I've got one of those 3-place poster board that you'd use for not demonstrations, you'd use for school projects and things. They used to be just like 3x4. Now they've got, or 2x3s or whatever. Now they've got giant ones that fold out, presentation boards. And so I use that for mine, but it's too big to hold up. So I use this old one, and it demonstrates what I'm talking about. And then as we go through each area and aspect of our life, each of the physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, financial, relationships, contribution, communication, and competence, I add that to my timeline. So we've already done physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual, and now we're going to add financial. And I usually do it in the colors I have here because it's less confusing for me, and I can keep it straight, so I can just look at my graph or my timeline, my lifeline, and I can see, okay, where are the highs and lows financially, because I look at the green dots. Now they're not on here, but they are on my big one. So what are we going to do today? We are going to, hopefully you've done your lifeline already, because we've been talking about it for 6 months now. This is the 6th month we've talked about it. But if you haven't, start now, right? Do this timeline. There's a detailed description on how to do a timeline. I think there's actually 2 or 3, 2 for sure, in the guide 17, the write-ups for this year's challenge. So you can go to guide 17, day 172, and you can see step-by-step how to create your own lifeline. And then it's specifically talking about with respect to financial milestones in your life. But usually a lot of our milestones in one area have an impact on other areas. For example, when I had a sudden cardiac arrest, that had a huge impact on my finances during that period. So it helps us to see visually, because a lot of times the connections are on a subconscious level and we're not really aware of them. It helps us to become more aware of how certain things in our life affect all different areas of our life. So that is our action item today. Do your financial and how things impact you, and how those milestones, how they impacted your finances on your timeline. Any questions about this, please, please, please ask. Hit me up. Otherwise, I will be with you tomorrow. Have fun with this. This is, to me, At least it's been, for me, one of the most powerful exercises I've ever done in terms of understanding myself, understanding events, and how I get to decide what they mean to me, or if they don't mean anything to me in different areas and aspects of my life. I mean, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially. Sometimes financial things well, actually, a lot of times financial things devastate people. But guess what? I get to choose whether that's going to devastate me or not, just like you do. All right. Have an awesome day, and I'll, of course, be with you tomorrow.